There's a reason walnuts show up in every list of brain foods ever written. Ask most people why, and you'll get some version of the same answer. They're good for your memory. They sharpen your thinking. They somehow protect your mind as you age. It's one of the most confidently repeated nutrition claims in circulation. But almost nobody asks the harder question: what is actually happening biologically when a walnut becomes part of a human body? And does any of it really touch the brain the way the reputation suggests? To answer that, we have to separate two very different things: what a walnut is capable of doing chemically and what has actually been demonstrated in people who eat them. Start with the most famous detail. Sliced in half, a walnut looks uncannily like a human brain, and the same folded, wrinkled halves, even a rough symmetry down the middle. It's a striking coincidence, and it has fueled centuries of folk belief that shape implies function. But biology doesn't work by resemblance. A walnut structure evolved to protect a seed inside a shell, not to signal anything about neurology. If walnuts matter to the brain, it isn't because of what they look like. It's because of what they contain. And what they contain is genuinely interesting. Walnuts are unusually rich in polyunsaturated fat, including a plant-based omega-3 called alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. This is where the science gets precise and where a lot of popular explanations get sloppy. The omega-3s most closely tied to brain tissue, DHA and EPA, are the kind found in fatty fish, and they're structurally different from ALA. The human body can convert a small amount of ALA into DHA and EPA, but that conversion is limited and inefficient. Eating walnuts is not biologically equivalent to eating salmon. ALA has its own independent roles in the body, particularly in cardiovascular function, but it shouldn't be marketed as a stand-in for the omega-3s your brain most directly uses. Beyond fat, walnuts carry a dense mix of antioxidants, polyphenols, and vitamin E. In laboratory studies, these compounds have been shown to interact with oxidative stress, the slow chemical wear and tear that cells accumulate over time, and with inflammatory signaling pathways that are relevant to aging tissue, including blood vessels. That matters for the brain more indirectly than people assume. The brain is extraordinarily dependent on steady blood flow. It has almost no energy reserves of its own and needs constant delivery of oxygen and glucose through the cerebral vasculature. Anything that supports vascular health, lower inflammation, better blood vessel function, healthier cholesterol profiles, plausibly supports the conditions the brain needs to function well. This is a real mechanism. It is not the same as proof that walnuts improve thinking. That distinction, mechanism versus outcome, is where the walnut story tends to get exaggerated. A compound can participate in a biological pathway without that pathway translating into something you'd notice, like a sharper memory or faster recall. So, what does the human evidence actually show? Much of it comes from observational research, large studies that track what people already eat and look for correlations with cognitive outcomes years later. Some of these studies have associated regular nut consumption with modestly better cognitive performance in aging populations, but observational data has a persistent weakness. It can't fully separate walnuts from the rest of a person's life. People who eat walnuts regularly often also exercise more, sleep better, and eat more vegetables. The walnuts may be one thread in a healthier pattern rather than the cause of the outcome. Randomized, controlled trials, which can isolate cause and effect more rigorously, are fewer and their results are more mixed. Some show small improvements in specific cognitive measures. Others show no significant difference at all. Nothing in the current body of research supports the idea that walnuts prevent dementia, treat cognitive decline, or meaningfully boost intelligence. The honest scientific position is that walnuts contain several compounds biologically relevant to brain-supporting systems, and that the human evidence for a direct cognitive benefit remains limited, inconsistent, and still developing. None of this makes walnuts uninteresting. A standard serving delivers unsaturated fat, fiber, plant protein, minerals, and a genuinely unusual concentration of polyphenols, a nutritional profile most whole foods can't match. But the brain doesn't respond to any single food in isolation. It responds to decades of cardiovascular health, blood pressure, metabolic function, physical activity, sleep, and genetics all interacting over a lifetime. Walnuts, at best, are one small, plausible contributor inside that much larger system. So, what do walnuts really do to your brain? They don't rewire it, they don't sharpen it overnight. What they offer is a set of nutrients with real documented relevance to the biological systems the brain depends on: circulation, inflammation, oxidative stress, wrapped inside a food humans have eaten for thousands of years, largely unaware of any of it.